Hey, welcome everybody to Metabolism 2.3, learning more about a condition. In this lesson, we are going to do a quick reread of one of the conditions that we read about. We're going to be modeling it. We're going to be checking that model in the simulation and a couple other things. So let's get started. First, as always, the warm-up. In the warm-up, let's go ahead and go to Amplify right now. You're going to be asked about starch molecules. So we're trying to learn more about these body systems and what they do and how they help. So this one, starch. What is starch? What body system would we find? Oh, the digestive system. So why can't a starch molecule enter a cell right after a person eats a meal with starchy foods? Oh, I want to get that starch right away. I want to get the nutrients out of it. Why can't I have it enter my cells right away? So then come down here and explain why your answer is better than all of the other ones, okay? So go ahead, think about that question. Think about what did we talk about? What happens in the digestive system? And then write your answer down. Come back to me. Hopefully you said something about starch being too big to enter our cells and that it has to be broken down into individual glucose molecules first. And that is one of the things that happens in our digestive system. And then it enters the circulatory system and is taken to every single cell in the body, not as starch, but as glucose. So, hey, activity number 2. The second read of patient stories articles. We read about each of these conditions, right? We read about anemia, we read about a pancreas injury, asthma, diabetes, and we read about these conditions to try to figure out if any of these might match Elisa's condition. Well, we're going to choose just one of those articles and we're going to read it a second time. We often in Amplify will read articles more than once, or at least parts of articles more than once, and that's just a good practice because a lot of times, the first time you read something, you aren't necessarily paying attention to certain parts of it. You might not be looking for certain details, but after you've learned a little bit about the topic and you read the article again, certain parts of it might stand out more or mean more to you than they did the first time you read it. So here we go. The hospital medical team thinks that Elisa might have asthma, anemia, diabetes, or a pancreas injury. Each of you is becoming an expert in one of these conditions. Part of understanding the conditions deeply will come from the careful reading that you did in the previous lesson, and we're also going to model it. Today, we'll use the modeling tool to make a model of what is happening in the body of a patient with whichever condition you read about. So we're going to be using the modeling tool. And that's one of the reasons why we're reading it again, because we want to come up with any key things that we want to include in our modeling tool. So first you will reread your article about your condition, focusing on the information you'll need to help make an accurate model. As you read, you should highlight any information that helps you answer the questions and prepare to make your model. So reread and annotate with that idea in mind. Okay, I'm going to have to use the modeling tool to model this condition. How am I going to show that? Go, and then come back to me. Great. So hopefully you reread one of those articles. You got some notes that are going to help you make your model. And to help diagnose Elisa, you'll use what you learned from the article to make a model in the modeling tool that shows visually how the condition affects the body systems. I'm going to go ahead and go through a model with you and show how exactly we want that to work. So we have talked about all these molecules in class as we've looked at the modeling tools, we've looked at the simulation, we've identified what each of these models do. And when we start with, when you open up the model, a healthy body. This is actually a great model of what a healthy body should look like. All the molecules that are in the body, where they should be, what they should be doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to change that to represent the condition that we are trying to show. So what we're going to do, really quick, I'm going to show you, all right, what about somebody who might be choking? If somebody is choking, what's happening? They can't breathe. Well, if a person can't breathe, that means that they are not getting oxygen. So we're going to go ahead and take the oxygen out of this model. I sped it up. So I took all the oxygen out of this model. We can see there's no more in the respiratory system, no more in the circulatory system, and certainly no more in any of the cells of the body. So if somebody is choking, their cells are not making energy. They're not getting any oxygen to any parts of the body. And we have shown that now in our model here. So what you are going to now do is you're going to look at your condition. Your model, as it says here, is going to be more complex. There's going to be more things going on than just, okay, no oxygen. So it also suggests go back and forth between the article and the modeling tool to try to get the most accurate model that you can. So go ahead, work on the modeling tool, make sure you hit submit, go. So you've made a model of the condition that you were looking at. Now what you're going to do is you're actually going to observe that condition in the simulation. It's pretty easy to do. You open up the simulation and then you can select up here which condition you want the simulation to show. I just chose anemia because it was the first one on there. And then reload, yeah, sure. And we just want to observe it. What you're going to do is you're going to take a screenshot, let it run for a little bit. You can speed it up too if you want. There we go. Let it run for a little bit, and then you're going to take a screenshot. If you don't know how to take a screenshot on your computer, Google it, and it should give you a command. And then when you get back to Amplify, you're going to upload it. So you will have to find it. It might be on your desktop. It might be in your downloads. But find that screenshot and upload it right here. And then you're going to add annotations to your screenshot. So you can add annotations with this plus button. What annotations am I adding, Mr. Wiggin? That's a great question. Explaining what you observed in the sim and how it fits with your model or doesn't fit with your model. So you just made a model. How does the sim match your model? So you could put an annotation on one of those places that says, hey, this matches my model because blah, 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 blah. Because this is happening in a sim, because this is what the condition actually does. So you could come up with a number of different annotations for that. So again, observe it in the sim, take a screenshot, and annotate that screenshot for this part of the lesson, activity 4. All right, do that and come back to me. All right, the homework is 2 parts. The first part, you're actually answering the question whether or not you think Elisa has the condition that you've been researching. It's focus on the one that you did today. So the question that you're going to have to answer on the first part of the homework is, do you think Elisa might have the condition you read about? Why or why not? So why do you think she might have the condition? And then what further evidence do we need? This is a great question, because if you do think, yeah, she might have this, well, what's one thing that would really put you over the edge to say, like, nope, she definitely has this? Or what's something that would, if you don't think she has it, how can we prove that too? Either way, you're going to answer those 2 questions, and then there is a reading after that. It's still not showing up right there, but in part 2, you're going to read about a scientist who grows new cells. Good read. And then you do have a question here to answer, something that you learned from the article. And after that, you are done. So congratulations. See you next time.